I used to believe my life was a series of meaningless echoes in a vast, empty hallway. The universe, a tomb of frozen stars. My ship was my coffin, its hull groaning under the pressure of a void that promised only oblivion. I was not a captain. I was a ghost, haunting the last dregs of power, bleeding from a dying machine. Every flicker of the console, every alarm that had long since fallen silent, was a monument to my failure, to my insignificance. I remember the cold. It was a physical presence seeping through the metal, through my suit, into my bones. It was the cold of absolute zero, the cold of a cosmos that did not know I existed and would not care when I ceased to. I would press my hand to the viewport, the glass a thin, fragile barrier against the infinite, and I would feel nothing but the finality of it all. This was the end. An anonymous speck, extinguished without witness. That was before the cold of the abyss took me, before she showed me that the echoes were a countdown. The final failure was a symphony of tearing metal. I felt the hulls scream as the abyss reached for me, the ship breaking apart not with a bang, but with a final, tired sigh. I was thrown into the black, adrift, my life support a fleeting whisper against the roar of silence. My final thoughts were not of fear, but of bitter acceptance. And then, a new sound. It was not a sound my ears could hear, but one my soul felt, a vibration that resonated in the marrow of my being. It was a single, perfect note in the crushing silence, a presence. My vision swam. The starfield dissolved into flowing ribbons of dark teal and electric cyan. A form coalesced from the darkness, vast and ancient. She was a silhouette against the nebulae, a being of impossible grace and terrible power. Her form was feline, yet transcendent, a queen carved from starlight and shadow. Eyes like twin Cayenne suns fixed upon me, and in them I did not see pity. I saw appraisal, I saw recognition. Her voice entered my mind, a current of pure thought, ancient and absolute. You are broken. You are nothing. Yet you do not shatter. You drift toward your end, but you do not surrender to it. Why? I had no words, only the raw, defiant truth of my existence. A life of striving for something more, only to find myself with less than nothing. I projected the entirety of my being into a single thought. To be nothing is to be free, but my freedom is empty. I would rather be a king in chains than a ghost in the void. A sense of ancient, solemn agreement washed over me. Her mental voice was the tolling of a great bell, marking a turning point in history. We are Lyra. My people are scattered. Our legacy fades into memory. We have the power to create, to conquer. But we have lost our anchor. Our will has no vessel. Her image filled my mind's eye. A civilization of regal, feline beings, their cities like crystalline forests now adrift and disconnected. They were a people of immense psychic and physical prowess, but they were dying. They had lost their singular point of focus, their progenitor, their king. We require a foundation, a will of iron upon which a new dynasty can be forged. We offer you a pact. Your broken body, your defiant soul, we will remake them. You will become more than you are. You will become our future. In return, your will shall be our law. Your life will have a meaning that will echo for eternity. You will be my king. It was not a rescue. It was an offer of coronation. The price was everything I was, my humanity, my past, my very self. I looked at the fading reflection of my own face in my cracked helmet visor, a pale, frightened ghost. And I looked out at her, a promise of destiny made manifest. I did not accept. I commanded it. Then I will be your anchor, and you will be my empire. The abyss itself seemed to hold its breath. The pact was sealed. Her presence enveloped me, a wave of cyan energy that tore through my consciousness. The cold was replaced by fire. The last thing I knew of my old life was the feeling of being utterly and completely unmade. My rebirth was agony. I awoke within a structure that was both architecture and organism, the Abyssal Kingdom. Its walls pulsed with a soft, cyan light, veins of gold tracing paths of energy through obsidian-like material. This was not a place of comfort. It was a crucible, a forge for a king. Lyra, my queen, was my constant guide and my tormentor. She did not teach me with words. She fed me knowledge directly from her mind to mine. I experienced the birth of her species, the rise of their billion-year empire, the cataclysm that scattered them, the sorrow of 1 trillion souls, all in an instant. My human mind, built for a single, linear existence, fractured. It screamed, it shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. This was the madness, the price of ascension. I saw time as she did, not as a river, but as a vast, frozen ocean. I could see my own past, my insignificant life on a forgotten world, playing out simultaneously with the future of the empire I was now destined to build. The overload was constant, the pain a physical manifestation of my mind being stretched across eternity. My body was rebuilt atom by atom. My flesh was woven with fibers of living metal. My eyes were replaced with optics that could perceive the entire electromagnetic spectrum. My brain, a fusion of organic tissue and crystalline processes that hummed with cyan light. I would catch my reflection in the polished surfaces of the kingdom and see a stranger. A hybrid creature of terrifying potential, my human features sharpened, hardened, crowned with a faint nimbus of golden bioelectric energy. I was becoming a monster. Her monster, our monster. There were trials. She would unleash her brood upon me, creatures of shadow and claw, the apex predators of her lost worlds. At first, they were a tide I could not stem. They tore at me, and my new body learned to heal, to adapt. But the true test was not of strength, it was of will. She showed me how to connect with them, to feel their primal rage, their loyalty, their hunger. She forced me to reach out with my fractured consciousness, to impose my will not as a master beating a dog, but as a gravitational center pulling planets into orbit. I remember the first time I succeeded. I stood in a vast, cavernous training ground, surrounded by 100 of her brood. Their growls were a physical force. My head was splitting, the echoes of 1 billion years threatening to tear me apart. But in the center of that storm I found my anchor, the promise I had made. My will shall be our law. I focused. I pushed aside the pain, the temporal echoes, the ghost of my humanity. I let the raw, cold ambition that had driven me to the stars become a command, a singular, silent broadcast from my mind to theirs. Kneel, and they did, as one. The thunder of their movement ceased. 100 predators, each a masterpiece of lethality, lowered their heads to the floor. Silence. In that silence, I felt the madness recede. The chaos within me found its purpose. It was not madness. It was the birth of my sovereignty. The upgrade continued. I learned to shape the living architecture of the kingdom with a thought, to command the flow of energy. I mastered their sciences, their philosophies, their art of war. Every piece of knowledge, every new ability was another piece of my old self, ground to dust. I mourned the man I was for a time, a ghost, crying in the heart of a god machine. But the grief was a luxury I could not afford. A king cannot mourn the boy he was. He must rule. Lyra was always there. Our minds were intertwined now. I felt her ancient weariness, the immense burden of her people's survival. And she, in turn, felt my burning human drive, my relentless need to not just survive, but to conquer. We were two halves of a single entity, her wisdom and my will, her legacy and my ambition. It was a union not of flesh, but of destiny itself. In the quiet moments, between the agony and the trials, her mind would brush against mine, a touch more intimate than any physical contact. A silent promise. We are one, our future is one. The final stage of my transformation was not a trial, but a choice. Lyra brought me to the heart of the Abyss Kingdom, to a chamber where a throne of obsidian and gold waited. It was empty. It had been empty for millennia. The old ways are dead, her thought echoed in the vast chamber. My people are adrift. They need more than a memory. They need a living God. They need a king. Will you be their God? Will you be my king? I looked at my hands, no longer fully human. Veins of cyan light pulsed beneath the skin. I could feel the minds of every one of her brood, every system of the kingdom, all awaiting my command. The madness was gone, forged into a weapon of absolute clarity. I knew my purpose. I was no longer a man, I was a foundation. I walked to the throne, each step an earthquake of intent. I did not sit, I took possession. As I settled into the seat of power, the entire kingdom roared to life. Energy surged through me, a direct link to the heart of our new civilization. I opened my mind, and I broadcast my first decree across the void to every scattered ship, to every hidden enclave of the Lyran people. I am your anchor, I am your will. The age of wandering is over, the age of empire has begun. Come home. And they came. From the dark corners of the galaxy they answered the call. Fleets of biomechanical ships, elegant and deadly, emerged from hyperspace, their forms like great stellar panthers. They gathered around the Abyss Kingdom, a new capital for a reborn race. Our capital. My Queen Lyra stood before my throne. She lowered her regal head, an act of submission that was simultaneously an act of ultimate union. In her mind, I felt a wave of profound, ancient relief. Her long vigil was over. My king? Her voice was a symphony in my soul. My queen, I replied, my voice now a blend of human timbre and cosmic resonance. I stood and offered her my hand. Our union was complete. The hybrid dynasty was born. The years that followed are not a history of dates and battles. They are the chronicle of my will made manifest. We built new worlds, our cities rising as monuments of dark teal and gold. We created a new people, our children a perfect synthesis of human tenacity and Lyran power. They are born with minds that can span galaxies and souls that burn with the fire of ambition I gave them. They look upon me not just as a father, but as the genesis of their reality. I often stand on the balcony of my spire, overlooking the capital city. The sky is a tapestry of controlled nebulae, our fleets gliding like silent predators between them. Lyra is always at my side, her presence a steady, powerful warmth against my own. I can feel the thoughts and dreams of every soul in my empire, a single, harmonious chorus. I am no longer the ghost in the machine. I am the will that commands the stars. I found my purpose not in the light but in the abyss. I answered the plea of a dying race, and in saving them, I forged my own immortality. This is not the story of how I survived. This is the chronicle of the empire I was born to found, my chronicle. And it is only the beginning. The